Hi, I'm Anna and welcome to a prenatal class. So today we are going to look at the theme of connection during pregnancy. And this is really about turning inward, connecting with yourself and also with your baby. There's a lot of change during pregnancy. It's a lot of emotional change, a lot of physical change as well. And using meditation and yoga poses and breath work is a beautiful way to really connect in and just find that little bit of stillness in all that change as well, which can feel a little bit chaotic at times, a little bit, maybe there's some apprehension as well as joy and excitement happening as well. So this is a beautiful way just to reconnect back in with yourself. All right. So we're going to begin today in a seated position. Going to come into a kneeling toe sit position. So come to the side so you can see. You'll tuck the toes under and then sit back on the heels. This is pretty intense for a lot of people, so do your best to stay here. We'll be here for a little bit, so if you need to come out, you can just come onto the tops of the feet when you need to, and then come back up when you're able. So coming into that position, and just for a moment closing down the eyes and tuning into the sensations in the body. So probably straight away the feet have quite a lot of sensation, the toes in them from this pose. So just noticing that sensation. There might be a tendency to want to come out straight away. So see if you can just sit with it, with the discomfort. And then just noticing the sensation of the breath. So that rise and fall of the chest. That sensation perhaps at the nostrils, in the throat, into the back. Breathing in and out through the nostrils if you can, and deepening and broadening that breath just a little. Lovely. Opening the eyes gently, but maintaining that awareness of the body. Perhaps it's more a general awareness now. You can feel the body as a whole. And taking another moment here just to check in with any areas that are sore, perhaps aching, any pain. Perhaps there's some back discomfort or hips, shoulders, chest, anywhere that you're aware of that might not be feeling its best. Okay, let's come into some side bends. If you can keep the toe sit, keep it. If you need to come out, just come into kneeling or into a cross-legged position. Let's take one hand down to the mat or a block. If you've got a block or a cushion, you can use that. And then lifting up and over with the top arm. Getting a nice little side bend here. Sweeping that arm back over, hand to the floor on the other side, and arm comes up. Keep that breath going. Nice and smooth and even. If you have props that you'd like to use, more than welcome. I'll give options for props. I won't use too many today just because most people don't have that many at home. So don't want you to feel like you need to have special props to do the class. And coming back to the center. Nice. We're going to push up if you're still in the kneeling position. If you're not, then just come back up into it. So now you're in a high kneeling position. We're going to sweep the arms up overhead, turn the palms out, and exhale as you come down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale down. whilst we're doing this, see if you can keep a little tuck through the tail. So you're sort of tucking the bum under slightly so that we're not allowing that exaggeration of that lumbar arch or that anterior pelvic tilt that a lot of us have during pregnancy because of that weight of the belly forward. Beautiful. Last one. Okay, keeping in this high kneeling position, going to add a little bit of core stabilization on, taking the arms out by the side. And we're just going to start taking some circles. So here you'll notice that the body is moving with the arms, that this causes some movement through the torso and the legs. That's okay. Think about trying to minimize that, which will help the core to work, to stabilize the body. This is a great gentle core exercise for pregnancy, although feels more like a shoulder exercise. Nice. A little bit bigger with the circles. And now change direction. A little bit more, keep breathing. Nice, even breaths in and out through the nose. Beautiful, and hold the arms out, keep them still, and rest them down. Nice, little roll forward and back. All right, coming down now onto the hands and knees. And here we're going to take some little circles over the wrists, so just circling in one direction. Here we again want to be mindful of that tendency to let the weight of the belly drop and the lower back arches. So just keeping the tuck of the tail, like the pelvis is pulling under and forward. And then returning to your breath. So this is a really nice place to connect and check in with the body and see how you're feeling. As you're taking the circles, you can really make this your own. You can make them quite big or small. Really get into the hips as well, shoulders and the back. Breathing right down into your belly. Change direction when you're ready. Finding that breath. You can even close the eyes here if you like. Really turning inward. Directing that breath all the way down to your baby. Perhaps using some visualization there. Imagining that breath coming all the way down to the belly. Nice. And then coming back to neutral. Here we're going to take a little bit more spinal work. So now pushing the ground away, I want you to round through the back. Just notice the tendency of the upper back to want to round a lot. So round the upper back, then just back off slightly. Now we want to think about taking the lower back a little further. So tucking that pelvis under even further, like you're drawing the pubic bone forward. Nice. Shoulders away from the ears. Then, as we come back to neutral, we're going to allow the back to flatten out, but not allowing that lumbar arch. So lower back stays quite neutral. And then we're just going to try and drop the chest towards the floor, keeping a little tuck through the tail. So we get that movement into the thoracic spine. Again, push the ground away, round through the upper back, not too much. And then tuck the pelvis under even more so we get that rounding through lumbar spine. Exhale to come back to neutral, and then drop the chest towards the floor, keeping the low back neutral. 2 more like this in your own time. Inhale up. Exhale, chest towards the floor. And relax after you've done 2 more. So options here is either to press back into a downward dog. If you're really feeling like not being upside down today, feeling a bit nauseous or blood pressure issues, then you'll just take a wide child's pose, taking the legs apart and dropping the forehead down towards the floor. If the belly is quite big, or a bit further along in your pregnancy, then you will take the hands further forward and drop down into a puppy pose, keeping that tuck through the tail. If you're up for a downward dog, then we tuck the toes under, take a little bit of a wider stance than normal, and we press back. Bend through the knees, and then let's walk out the legs. One leg, then the other. Heels come towards the floor, they might not touch. That's okay. Keep that breath going. And then settle the heels down towards the floor. And holding here. So either staying here for 5 more breaths, or if you feel like adding on, then we're going to lift one leg up. When we do that, just not allowing that left shoulder to collapse, or the opposite shoulder if you have the other leg up. Keeping the hips square, we'll flex the foot, send the heel towards the back of the room. Nice. We're going to bend the knee, open out the hip, pressing firmly into both hands and taking some circles with the knee. Really getting into the hip. Change direction. Nice. And set that foot down. Either holding in your down dog, or you can come down to the knees in between if you need to. And we'll take the other side. Other leg lifts up, send the heel to the back of the room, keep the hips square, pressing through the hands. Bend the knee and circle the hip. Change direction. Keep pressing the hands into the floor and keep that breath going nice and even. Beautiful. Set that foot down. And dropping the knees all the way back down into that starting position on all fours. Lovely. From here, tuck the toes under. See if you can start to walk all the way back into a Malasana squat. So here you might need some props or some things that you've got lying around the house. If you can't get down this low, then you can use a cushion to sit on, so you can take a supported squat cushion or a couple of cushions so that you can sit down onto something. If you find that the heels are just really far off the floor, then just prop the heels up with something, a couple of cushions or yoga mat, a spare yoga mat, or you can roll your mat up from the back. Nice. So Malasana is a beautiful pose to practice during pregnancy. It's an amazing pelvic opening pose, so it's fantastic for laboring. And you can even birth in this pose, although it can be quite a strong birth position, but fantastic during labor and to practice throughout your pregnancy for really good pelvic health as well. Fantastic postpartum too. Okay, from here we're going to take one arm, let's take the right arm out to the side and then reach up with the other arm and open out. You can take that gaze up to the left hand. And slowly coming back down. Other side, and we lift up. Gazing at that top hand. And coming back down. Nice. We'll hold here for a little longer. If you're quite far along and belly's very big, this pose can start to feel a little uncomfortable. So in that case, you would just take the feet a lot wider and sit up onto something so you're not quite as low down. If you are suffering from any prolapse, then I would avoid this pose altogether. Okay, a little bit longer here. Find the breath. Beautiful. Taking the hands behind, just going to lower yourself down into a seated position and bring the legs forward. Okay, taking the soles of the feet together in front of you and allowing the legs to come out to the side into Badikanasana. You can have quite a wide Badikanasana here, long, so you can have the feet a little bit further away. No need to get them as absolutely close as possible, so just find a comfortable position. And holding onto the ankles or the feet, gently gazing down towards the floor, long through the neck, and allowing the legs to come out to the side. If you're finding that you're collapsing through the lower back here, just sit up onto something as well, onto a cushion or something. All right, let's take the hands to the inner aspect of the knees and just gently pushing up with the hands, with the knees into the hands. Pushing, 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 not straining too hard, just a moderate effort, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Take a nice breath in and exhale out and let the knees relax towards the floor. You may have noticed you gained a little bit more opening, but also that's a really good stabilization exercise as well. Taking the hands to the outer aspects of the knee. And this time we're going to push down into the hands, knees towards the floor. And keep pressing, keep pressing. Then big breath in. And exhale, release. And the knees come down towards the floor again, relax. Beautiful. Let's take the legs out now to a wide-legged position or straddle position. This one in particular, you might want to sit up onto something, especially with the weight of the belly in the front. Then you can sort of collapse a little bit through the lower back. So you could just grab something to sit up onto. And you have a little bit more room here between the legs and the belly. Nice. Okay, keeping the legs active so you have a little bit of tension through the legs. Toes are slightly flexed back towards you. And we're just going to walk the hands forward and then walk them back in. Walking forward and walking back in, keeping active through the legs. Okay, this time we're going to walk out and hold. Holding that extended position, legs are active, heels are gently pushing down into the floor and pulling back in towards you. So then, like the kneecap is pulling up towards the hip. Nice. Walking the hands back in. Now you're going to just intertwine their fingers, and we're going to take some little circles here. So you're going to come out over the left leg and then all the way across to the right leg and bring it back in. So kind of like we're stirring a big pot here. Back out and back in. So you don't have to go for maximal reach, but we're just looking for nice stretch sensation through the inner thigh, the adductors. Nice. But keeping that activity through the legs, so we're not just allowing the legs to completely relax. Nice. And we're keeping long through the spine here as well. Okay, let's change direction. Keep that breath going, nice and calm and smooth. Nice, and coming back to center, releasing the hands. Let's take the hands behind and really opening out through the chest. So allowing a little bit more space, especially if you're further along in your pregnancy, it can start to feel like hard to breathe. There's not much room here. So just literally expanding the chest like this by leaning back can give you that feeling of a little bit more space and opening through the chest. Coming back to that connection, breathing into the body, checking back in with sensations in the body, and also perhaps if you've had any shift in your mood or your main emotional state. And just seeing if you can find some acceptance of the changes that are happening physically and emotionally. It's okay that all this is happening. Surrendering to that change and that unknown, this new chapter for you. Walking the hands slowly back up towards you. I'm going to bring the legs in back together. And we're just going to finish off with a little bit of core work. So coming back over into your all fours position, just moving any props out of the way. Nice. Okay, here we're going to work a little bit with core and pelvic floor work. So I want you to inhale that nice deep breath that we were doing in the beginning and throughout the practice, but nice and deep in through the nose and out through the mouth with a little audible sound, little audible hissing sound. Let's try that again. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. Now we're going to add a little pelvic floor lift into that breath. So inhale to prepare. As you exhale, lift and squeeze the pelvic floor just gently. Inhale to release. Exhale there. Let's do one more of those. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift and squeeze. Inhale, release. Exhale, relax. Okay. So the lift and squeeze of the pelvic floor should feel like that, should feel like a lift rather than a bearing down. We don't want to be adding any more pressure down onto the pelvic floor than the pregnancy is already providing plenty of that. So it should feel like lifting up towards you. I like to imagine a string running through the center of my body and the pelvic floor lifting up around that string. Okay. All right, let's add a little bit of core work in now. So we're going to inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift and squeeze. And a nice little activation of the abdomen on the exhale, belly button gently moving back towards the spine. Should feel like moderate effort, like we can hold that there. And then we're going to try and take the leg, one leg back, toes along the floor, or keeping neutral spine, so not allowing the back to arch, lifting the leg up. Nice. Let's take it back down. Bring it back in. Redo our breath. Inhale. Exhale. Lift and squeeze. Gentle activation of the core. And the other leg comes back. Perhaps lifting up, but not too high, so we maintain that neutral spine and connection with the core. Coming down. Release. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Now you're either going to repeat that or this time we'll add opposite arm on as well. Inhale, prepare. Exhale. Lift and squeeze pelvic floor. Gentle activation of the core. Let's take left leg back. Right arm. Then lifting left leg a little higher, but not losing that connection with the core or the pelvic floor and keeping the back neutral. Plenty to think about here. Coming down. Release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, prepare. Exhale. Lift and squeeze. Activate. Right leg goes back. Left arm comes up. Lift the leg a little higher, keeping that tuck through the pelvis for neutral spine. Hold and release. Coming down, inhale, exhale. Nice. Okay, we'll leave it there for today, but we're going to work on those in subsequent classes and starting to build that connection with this whole area, the pelvic floor, the core, and all the supporting muscles, which are really going to support your pregnancy and speed up your recovery afterwards also. Okay, so we finished our physical practice now. So we're going to take a little relaxation, coming into a comfortable position. You might like to take seated. You could lie on your left side. The reason you might hear that in classes that you attend or from your care provider is that we want to lie on the left side because the inferior vena cava runs down the right side. And in pregnancy, the weight of the uterus can put a lot of pressure on that vessel. That's a major blood vessel that runs down to the lower part of your body. And we do not want to put pressure onto that vessel, which can impede venous return, venous blood flow return from the lower part of the body. Okay, so that's why we recommend lying on the left side. Some people do get a bit worried about this if they wake up in the night and they're lying on the right. Don't stress about it too much. You really need to be there for a long time for it to have significant impact, but we recommend whilst you're doing your daily, yoga practice and things like that, not to be in that position if you can help it. All right, so you can choose that. Perhaps you'd like to recline on your back, which is fine as well, but just have something propped up under you so that you can be a little bit elevated. So you might want to have a couple of cushions and just relax back onto those cushions. Okay. So, choosing your position, relaxing here, letting go of any controlled breathing now. Letting go of any effort. And using this time now of stillness to really go inward. Notice what's coming up. We often shy away from negative feelings or emotions and distract ourselves by picking up our phones or doing something else so we don't have to think about it. But it's so important just to connect in every day, even if it's just a few breaths, just to see what's going on in here and really giving it your full attention. Acknowledging any fears or anxieties or negative thoughts. Okay, gently bringing your awareness back into the space. If you'd like to stay here longer, by all means, stay. Otherwise, you'll gently start to come back up to a seated position if you're not there already. If you're lying down, just rolling off over to one side and gently pressing yourself back up. Beautiful. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.